Hey everyone, I'm talking and going on and on and on with my mic muted. It's a wonderful morning. Anyway, sorry about that. We'll begin again. Hey, it's Friday morning. It is February the 18th, 2022, and it's our bonus day. We had so much amazing material to cover that 3 days spilled into the bonus day, which is today. It's not going to be a whole day. It's only going to be about 2.5 hours, maybe a little shorter. We'll see. I don't want to take up much of your time because I am so thankful that you've been here with us during the summit. Many of you, of course, couldn't attend all of the speakers' sessions because you have to work and things are happening. I get that. I totally get that. So what I've done is I've dropped in the chat area a link to the All Access Pass. And the All Access Pass will give you replays, unlimited replays. I mean, it's lifetime access to all the speaker sessions. It's about 10 hours worth of material. There's 4 hours of bonus material. Just some amazing stuff, as well as the digital download area where you can download resources from each speaker, as well as how you can get in touch with them, whether it's their Facebook, Instagram, all of that. And some of the speakers had some free gifts. Now, all the free gifts have already been allocated, and hey, congratulations to everyone that won something at the summit here. And hey, Debbie Evans, I see you're online. Good morning. Good morning, Shannon. Nice to see you here. Thank you, Shannon, for letting me know that my mic was not on. Anyway, we've got a really short lineup this morning. The first one, I shouldn't be rubbing my hands. I get so excited, and it's really loud on the mic, and I apologize for that. Anyway, so this morning, the first speaker we're going to have come up is John and Chealsey Jubilee, and they're going to talk about hydration and why it's important to mental health. Now, he's developed a product. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but I asked him to come on basically to talk about hydration and mental health. And so you'll hear a lot more in there about what they're doing. Then our second speaker today is Sue Mohr. Her daughter spoke the other day, and her name is Sarah Ross, and she had an amazing topic as well. And so Sue's coming on today. She's a master coach, and we're going to talk about why do you need a coach in your corner? I mean, for years and years, I didn't have a coach. Didn't even really know what a coach was, other than, hey, I was into wrestling and stuff in high school. So, that kind of a coach was not the kind of coach that I'm talking about today. I'm talking about personal coach, development coach, professional business coach. I mean, my goodness, whatever area of life you have, you could use a coach on. So we're going to talk about why you need a coach in your corner. Really, really good session. Then I'm going to end off the summit where I'll be talking about uncovering the 3 myths of weight loss that I experienced. And so I'm looking forward to that. So with no further ado, so we can get things rolling and get the day completed as quickly as possible so you can get to the rest of your day and your weekend, we will start with, is hydration important to mental health? Hey everyone, I am so happy to welcome John and Chealsey Jubilee to the program. Now, they've been featured on NBC, Fox, CBS, MSNBC, and various radio programs. Now, John struggled with his weight for years, trying program after program, of which none provided any sustainable results. Completely frustrated, he invested years of research in intercellular hydration. Now, his wife Chealsey joined his side, and together their mission is to revolutionize and transform the health of people throughout the world. Now, John, in my search for speakers for the summit, I obviously wanted to get people that were experts in their field. And so I was so happy when we were able to connect through social media. And I'm very, very interested in what you're talking about, because during my journey, having lost 200 pounds, the one thing my nutritionist told me all the time was, drink more water, hydrate, 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 hydrate. And honestly, even since then, keeping hydrated is always a challenge. And I know for almost everyone out there, it's probably one of the largest challenges we have. So I'm super happy that you're with us today. And I really, really want to find out more about why is hydration important to mental health.
Well, we're thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having us. And yeah, I'll tell you that the hydration is a bigger challenge, and it's not because people don't drink water. You know, everybody knows drink more water, right? Everybody knows drink more water. That's not the challenge. The challenge is our cell is as hard as a marble. You know, if you picture a rock solid marble, our cells are as hard as a marble. So, you know, we pour all that water and it just bounces right off, just doesn't go in. And so what we have done is, you know, we actually own the only patent pending in the world of intercellular hydration that opens the cell up so that the hydration can actually get inside the marble.
Right.
A lot easier. So most people, they're drinking, gallon after gallon after gallon of water, but they're just peeing it right out. It's just going right out into the toilet, literally.
It's like every 5 minutes.
And so,
yeah.
Right. So the good thing is they're getting a lot of exercise, running to the bathroom, but the bad thing is, they need this. They need to get it inside the cell. And so we teach an intercellular hydration protocol that actually causes the cell to open up so that they can get that healthy hydration into the cell in a very easy and, most importantly, a sustainable way. So, and God bless you on your journey, because I know what that takes, to lose 200 pounds. And we actually have an easy way, a lot easier way to do it than what most people have done. So 25 years ago, I'm thrilled to tell people though, I had struggled for 10 years with all the same crazy yo-yo diets everybody else did. And, I did the keto so long ago, it was called Atkins diet.
I did that. Matter of fact, my partner came home with some VHS tapes. I talk about it in the first two chapters of my book. I did it and lost 60 pounds, and all he got was a basketball-sized knee.
Yeah, right?
Poor guy.
Yeah, so that diet's been around forever because it works for a minute. But you'll never find one human being on the planet Earth that is on the keto diet and is lean and healthy and in a good mood. That diet makes people grumpy.
Well, don't most diets actually make you grumpy? I've been on a few different ones, and I think I've been grumpy on all of them.
Yeah, look, and the reason they make us, ketosis, keto itself, ketosis makes us grumpy.
Right.
So the good news is intercellular hydration, it actually resets the hypothalamus, it resets the metabolism, it lets you eat good, healthy carbohydrates in moderation, and that way you don't get grumpy, you get to stay happy, you get to stay joyful, and you get to be hydrated at the cellular level. And so if you have diseases, we've learned in our research that 99% of all diseases, actually probably 99.9% of all diseases caused by chronic dehydration. So we all get dehydrated, through life. We have oxidative stress, we have aging, we get dehydrated. And over the last 25 years, I've spoken all over the world, audiences in front of thousands of people, and I ask people to raise their hand. I say, how many of you know, your doctor has measured your hydration? And I've never even had one hand go up.
I didn't even know that's a thing. Yeah.
Right? Nobody even know. And it's your number one health marker of human health is what is my hydration level? It's like in your car. Everyone knows if you get in a car and you're going to drive across country, you got to know how much water's in my radiator and how much oil is in my engine, right? I mean, the liquids are everything for an engine to run. And it's the same in the human body. Your liquids are the most important factor of your human health. Is what is my hydration? What is my hydration level of inside my cells? And I want to quickly say there's a big difference between water in your body. Every woman has been bloated, right? They've been bloated because they had water outside of their cell. So here's my cell and I got water out here. That's one thing. That's just bloated. And so doctor will give you a water pill for that to try to get rid of all that water that's just hanging outside. But I'm talking about the healthy water inside. It's inside the cell. We got to get it inside the cell because that activates 200 to 300 mitochondria in there, and it makes them fire like little thermonuclear power plants. Your energy goes crazy. Your metabolism goes crazy in a good way when I say go crazy. And now it's metabolizing all your fat, your energy. Your brain is doubling. Your brain is 70% water.
Yeah.
And if you lose just 10% of your hydration in your brain, you lose half of your neurotransmitter in your brain synapses. So we got to have that intercellular hydration, to have that going on.
I always thought it was kind of counterproductive going back to water pills. Why did they tell you to take a water pill to extract water and then tell you drink more water? It just doesn't compute, No,
it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, it seems like it, yeah.
Right?
But what you're talking about, and I've always told people this, is when you drink water, you bathe your cells. And I wasn't aware of the fact that, like you were saying, our cells are like marbles. They're very hard. So it's difficult for the water to penetrate it in a meaningful way so that we are fully hydrated as opposed to partially. Right?
Yeah, and so that's actually a good point. So we actually don't want to bathe ourselves. We don't want to bathe ourselves. We, that's just washing the outside, right? Bathing. So what we want to do is actually turn our hard marble cells into sponges so that we can push water through the sponge and totally purify our cell. We want to purify it. We want to purify out all the toxins, all of the inflammation. And I'm going to tie it into mental health here. And when we're doing that, we're also going to push out all of our negative emotions, all of our negative experiences, all of our trauma out of our cell. So there is a mind-body-spirit connection that's tied to intercellular hydration, that as you're doing this process, our protocol that we developed actually teaches people how to use the combination of the physiology with the psychology. We tie those together, and even the spiritual component of how do we actually make sure that we can flush out, because trauma gets trapped inside our cell. Negative experiences get trapped inside of our cells. And how can we eradicate those? And Chealsey and I have both had a lot of trauma from our past experiences. I grew up in the inner city. I had, a lot of, both of my brothers were murdered. 12 of my friends were murdered. I grew up in a very horrific abusive lifestyle. Chealsey, had some experiences, of her own that were very traumatic. So we've done this ourselves. So when we share it, we share these daily videos, for 88 days, because that's the transformational cycle of a human body. We share for 88 days. Here's how to flush out of your cell all of your trauma, all of your negative emotion, all of your inflammation, all of your toxins. How do you do that at the cellular level? That's what we teach people.
Doctors are always telling us that we need less stress in our life. But it's impossible to remove all stress. It's life, right? So I'm really interested in what you're talking about there in terms of how water, by getting into our cells and doing all of this, it increases everything in terms of how we feel, how we think, just by having water, hydration, proper hydration. I mean,
yeah, because what ends up happening is, we often use an example like John already mentioned about our cells are hard as a marble. Well, we make them porous like a sponge, which if you can think, just imagine, when you're pouring water on marbles, it's just bouncing off, right? None of it can get inside. But if you're pouring them on a sponge, just imagine like squeezing and the water coming out. Well, if you were to envision squeezing a sponge, the thing is that you also have things trapped inside that sponge, right? Inside that cell, toxins, just gook is what we call it, sludge, So it ends up coming out and flushing out. And a lot of that is stress. So some of it can be environmental. It can be from years ago. It could be, we have people that are healing from divorces that happened like 20 years ago. These are things that we hear every day. So there's so much that's trapped inside our cells, and we have trillions of cells inside of our body. So, imagine the stuff that comes out. Well, of course, that makes people feel better. So when people do our protocol, they naturally, for the first 2 weeks or so, will go through a completely natural detox. And a lot of that is the stuff that they're detoxing out of their body and out of their system, which, of course, they're going to feel better for a number of different reasons. But also along with that, the food that people are eating, the nutrition, when your cells are hard as a marble, all that nutrition, a lot of that is not getting inside the cell either. So it also is, beneficial for food as well. So the nutrients that you're eating can get inside the cell as well.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so we've had people, they're eating all organic food. They're drinking alkaline water. They're doing all this when they meet us. And they can't figure out, why am I not healthy? Why am I not hydrated? I eat organic. I exercise. I'm walking 6 miles a day. I'm drinking 2 gallons of water. How am I not healthy? Well, it's because your cell is as hard as a marble, and none of that is doing any good. It's just like the hamster on the wheel that can't figure out why he's not getting anywhere. He's just doing the same wrong thing all day, every day.
Yeah.
And we recently had a woman that she had spent a fortune. She'd spent a fortune, 6 years of frustration, and by the way, she was drinking 2 gallons of water a day. She was, walking 5 to 7 miles a day. She's doing everything, right. And she said, how is this not working? Well, one of her friends that was like a master yoga person said, hey, I was doing all the right stuff too, but it wasn't working. But when I did these guys' protocol, they teach this transformation of your human cells. She said, that changed my life. She said, I lost 50 pounds of fat when I did what they teach. And so sure enough, this woman did it, and she lost 67 pounds of fat in 88 days after all those years of frustration. But it was because her cell opened up, and now everything could flow through the right way of how it was supposed to. And by the way, it literally reversed age her like 20 years. Her husband said, hey, he said, I haven't seen that girl that's bouncing around my house in 30 years. He said, I haven't seen her for a long time.
Very cool. Now, when it comes to mental health, obviously, there's a lot of people that are suffering from, obviously, stress in their lives. But they're also suffering from dysphorias, or there's a myriad of all kinds of things that are happening in here, right? Have you seen examples where people have had certain mental health issues reversed, or maybe not entirely reversed, but minimized or helped because of proper hydration?
Well, 100%, because the brain is 70% water. The brain is 70% water. So just envision, you basically have 8 sections of your brain. 8 sections of your brain, and they're all connected. So just imagine all the wires that are connecting, thousands of wires connecting those 8 areas of the brain. And so now imagine how it's all electrical. The brain is electrical. So what's the number one conductor of electricity? Water. Water conducts electricity. Yeah. So the more hydration we have in our brain, the greater connectivity we have for those 8 areas to flow back and forth. You know, in fact, one of the number one health issues, in the world today is schizophrenia. But schizophrenia is literally, tied more to a bio issue, to a chemical, a biochemistry issue, which is glucose crossing the blood-brain barrier because of the connectivity, and so that's all tied in with intercellular hydration. So when you have the connectivity and you have actually your biochemistry of your body, which can't even happen, by the way, if you don't have your intercellular hydration, your body can't produce its natural proteins and enzymes and glucose and glycogen and insulin. If the pancreas is dehydrated, it can't regulate insulin. So I'm going to tie this to the mental health. Stay with me for a minute. I'm going to go just a little bit scientific. I'm going to keep it simple. But, people think that diabetes is caused from sugar. Diabetes is not sugar. Diabetes is caused from an insulin issue.
Right.
The pancreas regulates insulin. Well, the number one cause of diabetes is dehydration. The pancreas shrinks up and now it can't regulate insulin. So when it doesn't regulate insulin, now the body cannot properly deal with glucose and glycogen. And what's the number one cause of schizophrenia? The body's not having a glucose. The glucose cannot communicate through the brain barrier, and it causes schizophrenic thoughts. It's all tied to the biochemistry of the body.
Right.
Depression, anxiety. Well, think about it. If you're just 10% dehydrated, you can lose half of your neurotransmitters and brain synapses activity in your brain. So now you're working with half instead of a whole brain. Well, do you think that might cause a little anxiety or depression or stress? Well, of course it does. So it is 100% connected. If you don't have just the physiology right first, there's no way you can have mental health with having the physical apparatus, in place and the physiology and the biochemistry working the right way.
So this really addresses things even as, well, I won't say simple as, but as common as brain fog. I mean, who doesn't have
1,000%.
brain fog at different parts and points in their life, right? I know that when I was much larger, I probably had a lot more brain fog than I do now, but it's not like it's gone away. It still shows up.
No, 1,000%. No, I've got some super sharp. Some of the sharpest businessmen in the world are our clients. And they literally say, they tell us after they do this, they say, you should promote this 100% just for businessmen to make more money.
Okay.
Because my brain is twice as sharp.
Right.
They're like, John, I'm making more money. I'm making better decisions. I'm sharper. I'm quicker because now I have that full brain functionality from that intercellular hydration. Yeah, just for more mental capacity.
And what about things like ADD?
Oh, 1,000%. It's the same thing, right? It's the same thing because look, all ADD is just like a little bit of it's just like a little short of a wire, just like a wire is disconnected and it's just kind of winging around, right? Squirrel, right? It just needs to be plugged in. So all that is those 8 parts of the brain. You just got a couple wires that are loose, we just need to plug them in through connectivity, through that intercellular hydration. You can plug those in.
Well, that's good news because there's so many people now that are being diagnosed with ADD. It's kind of prevalent even in my family. I mean, way back when my oldest son was diagnosed with it, it was even before it was a thing or to be diagnosed. But Yeah, but so many of us just run to the doctor for medications to solve all these little problems, don't we?
Well, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, that's very unfortunate that people do that. And by the way, we really, we don't even believe in those labels. We don't even believe in those labels. We really believe that, through intercellular hydration and through unconditional love, nobody needs those, nobody needs those medications.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing too we found with the mindset side of things is, if you can just picture a home and there's different closet spaces inside of a home, right? Well, what ends up happening in people too is if you just keep shoving stuff in a closet, eventually you're going to run out of space in the closet. Well, what we cause people to do through our protocol is really kind of dig in, because the brain is amazing. And what happens is even things in your past, if you just kind of put it over here, like put it in the closet and you never deal with it, that's a lot of the times too, when people think they have these labels, ADD, things like that. It just needs cleaned out. You need to clean your closet out. And that's part of what our protocol helps people do. We give them a step-by-step through our daily videos of how to clean the closet space out in so many different compartments that people don't want to open. They don't want to open the door to, but it really is causing so much of the brain fog and diseases and things that they're struggling with. They just don't know what it is.
Yeah. Wow. Now your background, Chealsey, is neural something, or I can't remember.
No, I have a background in banking. Actually, I used to be a broker, but I took I took about 1.5 years, almost 2 years off to research and write a book on neuroscience and trauma and what that does to the body. So there's a lot of time and effort that I put in there studying that. But that's right around the same time that John and I met. And, we kind of are like what I call like a powerhouse force in this field now. So we kind of join forces and we do this together, and we address everything that our research has led us to discover.
So you were pretty much on a similar journey before you met John, and then bang, it just kind of all came together?
Yeah, I was focused more on the mental side of it, and John was focused on the actual physical side as well as mental. So we just kind of joined forces, if you will. So it was pretty amazing, and we're very blessed to be able to do this together.
That's awesome. That makes you a power team.
Yes.
Now, I heard that you were able to present this on the floor of, what was it, the United Nations, or?
Yeah, the Economic Chamber in the United Nations. Yeah, John was honored to be invited there and was able to share this science. I mean, it's patent pending science. I'm really proud of him. It's a huge breakthrough, of things that have been discovered. And we have so many doctors too that, they call us out of the blue just because they had clients that are, the things that they have been able to get rid of in such a short amount of time. It surprises the doctors. And so they'll call John and they'll be like, how did you do this? And so it's really fun, but I'm really proud of John to be able to have gotten that invitation.
Wow, that's excellent. So many people that are watching this, I would say everyone watching this, not just some, really need to focus on hydration. Even though I was in my journey and my nutritionist said, drink more. And when I told her how much I was drinking, it was always, that's not enough, drink more. But it sounds like you can drink all the water you want, but unless you know how to get it into your cells, you're never going to benefit fully from the hydration that our bodies and our minds actually need.
That's exactly right.
100%.
No, that's exactly right. And look, I have literally, and Chealsey, again, we have been measuring hydration for 25 years. And I can tell you that people that are drinking 2 gallons a day of Kangen water, they spend $6,000-$10,000 on a machine. And so they want to hydrate. That's commitment. You spend $6,000 to $10,000 on a water machine. That's commitment. And they're drinking 2 gallons of it a day. And then they they step on a bioimpedance device to measure their hydration, and they're dehydrated.
Yeah.
And they say, how is that possible? Because your cell is hard as a marble. It's not getting in there. We got to open it up. It's too hard. We got to open it up. And then they do this, and they realize, oh, my word, I didn't need to drink 2 gallons a day. I needed to get my cell to open up like a sponge so the hydration could actually get in there. That is the secret. You got to get the cell porous like a sponge so the hydration can get in, the toxins and inflammation can go out, and the nutrients and hydration in. And look, so you got 2 things happening. So here's your spot, hard cell, open it up. So now on the intake, we got the healthy hydration and nutrients coming into the cell. But on the outway, we've got the toxins and the inflammation and the negative experiences and the trauma exiting. And all of that working together makes the brain work better, makes us joyful, makes us happy, puts us on our true genetic blueprint. And a really cool side effect is people lose all their fat. They're losing fat like crazy because it resets your hypothalamus and metabolism. And so the whole key of my program originally was always just intercellular hydration. And then I was getting falsely accused. I got a fat loss program.
Right.
It's like, well, it's not a fat loss. Well, everyone's losing their fat. Well, it's just a side effect, and people are used to always think of side effects are negative, right? They think of all the negative side effects of medication, but it just so happens it makes your skin look amazing, and it makes your muscle, you get really good muscle. So everybody gains hydration, they gain lean muscle, they lose their fat. Those are the side effects of intercellular hydration.
Wow. Interesting. I had no clue about intercellular hydration at all until I met you online. Very interesting. I'm very interested in it. I'm definitely going to check it out more. We're at the end of our time already. I can't believe it. So how can people get in touch with you, John and Chealsey?
Yeah, they can go to our website, energizedhealth.com, energizedhealth.com. And while you're on there, we have an amazing masterclass that you could watch. It's really short. It's about 20-some minutes, and it literally will educate you. You'll be quite blown away by it. The other thing, too, I advise people to click on testimonials. I mean, we have hundreds of testimonials on our website that people can watch. They can categorize it by their age group and maybe the ailment that they're dealing with or disease that they're dealing with, and watch someone just like you that had a complete turnaround.
That's awesome. So, folks, we're going to put that in the chat area. It's also going to be in the all access area, so you can click on that anytime. Hey, listen, John and Chealsey, thank you so much for your time. And hey, everyone out there that's watching this, thank you for joining us, and have a great, wonderful day, and get healthy. Hey everyone, I'm back. Well, I had no idea about cellular hydration. Still really don't know anything about it, but it kind of makes sense. And but drinking water, super important. Even now, 3 years into my journey, keeping up with the water intake every single day is difficult. Let me know how it goes for you. Yeah, this is the nice thing about, being in a support system with other people. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing the summit is I really want people to connect with our speakers. I want people to connect with myself and create a community so that we can help one another, give each other tips and hints and, little hacks here and there, maybe, how we can do things better and make life better in this journey. Yeah, so next up we have Sue Mohr, and she's going to be talking about why we need a coach in our corner. I really wanted her to clarify the difference between what is a coach and a mentor and different things. So I know that this session is going to bring a lot of clarity to that. So we are going to roll that right now, and that is Sue Mohr. in. Oh, I hit the wrong one. I am sorry. It's not the bonus session I'm looking for. Okay, here we go again. Sue Mohr in this session. Oh, hey, speaking of the bonus session, that is part of the All Access Pass. Her bonus session, I love the title because it has to do with don't commit a suicide. I love it. It was a great session. Anyways, get the All Access Pass and you'll have access to that and 4 hours of other amazing bonuses. Okay, so we'll start again. Sue Mohr in the session about why you need a coach in your corner. Hey everyone, I am so excited that Sue Mohr is joining us today at the Transformation Summit. Now, Sue is a master certified and business coach consultant. She started a coaching and consulting firm in 2003 called The Inner Vision. The company serves creatives and entrepreneurs through a holistic approach focused on mental, emotional, and business wellness. Sue's goal is to co-create with others, helping them find true passion and vision. Now, Sue has been active in the world of creatives and the arts for over 2 decades. She's a sought-after speaker for both women and business groups, including corporate team building events. And she sits in the role of executive consultant for a TV show and is an author and award-winning scriptwriter, has directed music videos and TV episodes, written and teaches a self-penned curriculum for women over 50 entitled 50ness, is an ordained minister, and she coaches young married couples and families, and her newest venture is co-hosting a business podcast called Two of a Kind. Now, her proudest accomplishment to date is being a mama and grandma to 3 granddaughters. 3 daughters and 3 blessed grandchildren. That's right?
One in the womb. Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I seen 3 and 3, so I'm like, okay, that's awesome. That's a quiver full almost. And she has two furry grandpuppies. She and her husband Keith love living in their peaceful town of Spring Hill, Tennessee, and laughter is an important part of their daily sustenance. She thrives and strives to uplift, motivate, and encourage a can-do attitude. And Sue has never met a stranger, so you can find her doing just that with friends and family, neighbors, and countrymen alike. Welcome so much, Sue. I'm so happy that you could be part of this summit.
Thank you, Darrell. Thanks for inviting me. This is going to be fun.
It will, absolutely. And folks, the main reason I wanted to have Sue on is she is a master coach. I'm also a coach. And when I started going to a coaching journey personally, I was really confused about what coaching was. For some reason in my mind, I thought mentorship, coaching, sports coaching. I mean, my goodness, I really had no understanding of what it was. And so when I decided I needed to have a coach, man, there's a lot of stuff going on in my mind. Like, who should I get? And so I started looking for coaches, and I seen a lot of people out there that were younger, much younger than me, and they were life coaches. And I'm like, really? How can they be a life coach? They haven't even really lived life yet. Right?
Yep.
And so anyways, in my journey, I finally found a coach that was the same age as I was. So that was okay, because I thought I need to have somebody that has life experiences. Well, since the pandemic, I have become a certified coach to discover, number one, I've actually been coaching for a lot of years, just didn't know it. But coaching and mentoring was kind of all mixed up, like I said earlier before. But now I understand the power of coaching, and I realize now that really it doesn't matter what the ages of the person who is coaching you, as long as they know the principles of good coaching, right?
That is correct.
And so, Sue, I like your title, and it's Why You Need a Coach in Your Corner. I'm absolutely in on this with you. I believe it. Speak to us about it. Why do we need a coach in our corner?
Darrell, it is so important to know and understand this first phrase. We were not created to create alone. We just weren't. So I've discovered that individuals have barriers and challenges in their life that they have a difficult time sorting through. So through coaching and some consulting, I help them build a plan, one that works in their wheelhouse, co-creatively. So it brings about transformation in their lives. And there's one thing that people want to do, Darrell, all the time, is they want to go on in their life and have success in what they were called to do. So sorting through all those barriers and helping them have the time to do what they want to do the most, whether it's creating, writing a book, building a business, losing weight, getting well, making sure that they leave legacy things to their children, all of that sometimes gets stuck. So a coach helps to break through from the inside out. And the only way to do that is to know ourselves from the inside out. And isn't it fascinating? You would say as a coach, it's not easy knowing ourselves from the inside out, is it?
Correct. Yeah, it's not.
So coaching is a co-creative process, like I said. The difference between coaching, consulting, and therapy are vast. Therapy deals a lot with the past. Consulting deals with you giving the answers to someone. But coaching, it's that old adage that you're able to teach someone how to fish instead of just giving them the fish for the day, that you're able to work with someone, pull out what they already have, and help them put it into an implementable plan for success. I love that.
Right. Yeah. That's good. I liked how you defined the difference, because people generally don't know.
No, they don't. And you had talked about a good coach. You know, what does a good coach do? Well, a good coach helps to identify those blocks and those barriers and those challenges.
Yeah.
And
those
blind spots. And sometimes, and I hope that everyone listens to this very carefully, sometimes it uncovers opportunities that you didn't even know were there. I've worked with people that said, Sue, I think after working with you, the biggest aha moment was I had hidden possibilities that I didn't even realize were inside of me. You see, because sometimes those opportunities don't have a bright light on them, and I help to shed light on them.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so many aha moments in the coaching opportunity.
Yes.
I mean, there's times when I've been coaching someone and they'll say something and I'll go, I'm interested to find out, why do you feel that way? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? And all of a sudden there's like this big pregnant pause and they're like, And they start getting in touch with a little bit deeper of themselves to realize that, hey, maybe this feeling isn't justified.
Yes, many times it's not. And, you know, just with the transformation and everything that I know that you're doing and what you've gone through, sometimes we have that shallow understanding or that shallow plan. We can't push through it. And we just don't know why. There needs to be this opening that allows us to go deeper. And everyone I've seen that has that success had this breakthrough, that they were able to go deeper and understand. I mean, you know, coaching uses many tools to boost confidence and improve performance and build effective communication skills. The key is it's not just communication skills for other people, it's for ourselves.
Right.
You know, everyone I've ever worked with was like, Sue, I don't understand. I came in here thinking I knew who I was, and I didn't know myself. So whenever they finally hit that point that they start breaking through from the inside out, success starts to happen in many ways. And I'm sure that happened on your journey. Yeah, it's just, I mean, even the weight journey, I've talked to individuals are like, nothing changes. I can't change because they haven't broken yet. There hasn't been that part for the inside to come out. And then to allow the outside to come in from what they've learned. I mean, if you look at most successful people, and I'm just going to use one for example, Oprah. Do you know she has had a life coach. Her name's Martha Beck, from the very beginning of
Yes.
her career. 25 years.
Yeah.
She's presented a multiple bunch of coaches in 25 years to other people as gifts when they said, I don't know where I can go next.
Right.
It's kind of a win-win situation when you're ready to win.
Yeah. And it's not a matter of, okay, I need a coach for the next 3 weeks of my life because I have a problem I need solved. We're not always there to solve your problem. You're going to solve your own problem, but we're there in that journey to help co-create
That's right.
a possible solution for you. But sometimes it's a matter of, you sit down with somebody and say, hey, what's on your mind today? It has nothing to do with what was on your mind last week.
It's true. What you
Right?
just talked about is my step one. And that's, first of all, the discovery process. Very, very important. But then you step into a plan. And the plan has to be fleshed out. It has to fit in the client's wheelhouse. If it doesn't fit, they're not going to do it. So the way to be able to establish that plan is to be able to dig down and co-learn together also. And that's done with a great coach who has open-ended questions that ask for more. Once we dig down and we ask for more stuff comes out. And that's where the plan starts building and the excitement starts happening.
Wow.
Yes. So I've seen throughout my years of doing this, and you will hear those words, personal awareness. And I remember the first time that I heard that, I was like, personal awareness? I'm with myself every day. I know me. And then at one point, as a coach, I hired a coach. I think every great coach needs to have a coach. If we believe in that, yes.
That too.
So she asked me this question. Who are you really? I kind of stepped back for a moment and I told her everything about me, who I was. She goes, no. Who are you really? What is deep down inside of you, Sue? Who are you? When you look in the mirror and no one else is there, what do you say to you? And it was a huge thing for me. I actually use that tool now with clients and it's very uncomfortable. And that's one of those things, Darrell. People are really willing to have success in wellness, in life, in business. They have to be willing to do the work.
They do.
So this tool is literally one of the ones that I will say, I'd like you to set an alarm and listen, this is only 2.5 minutes. And I want you to look in a mirror and I want you to stare into your own eyes. And then let's talk about what you saw. I have had grown men say, Sue, I've had to start all over again. At 30 seconds, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So who are you really? Whether you are on a weight loss, whether you have been filled with depression, whether you have a business that you know that God's prepared it for you and you're walking in that calling and it hasn't advanced, we have to start with us.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever tried anything like that?
I have not.
I'm going to challenge you. I'd
Honestly?
love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so tomorrow morning I'll have to get up and look in the mirror and...
If you can't do 2.5 minutes, I used to do 4 minutes and people were just like, Sue, this is crazy. I can't do this. So I put it to 2.5 and it's still a struggle. So I would love to hear what comes from that.
Yeah, I can just imagine, like, if I'm sitting down with someone and I gave them that exercise to do, and then we're talking about it, and I say, how did you feel at that moment? Because I've been in coaching calls where all of a sudden tears start to flow.
Yes.
And they really start getting to that real person of who they are, that they didn't even know was there.
They didn't even know was there.
Right. And that's the power. I've seen that happen, not just in one-on-one coaching, but even group coaching.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where we've got like, maybe 5 or 10 people in a group call, and one person says, okay, you can coach me today. They had no clue that partway into the coaching program, tears would be flowing. And everybody else has their cameras off when we do this in Zoom. So it's just the coachee and the coach. So it's very personal, private. And of course, everything is confidential.
Only 2.4 million people watching, that's all.
No, only 15. But anyway, or 10, whatever it was. And then after, when we all got together and started talking about it, my goodness, all the other people that were not coached, it touched them in ways that just blew my mind.
Absolutely. Well, Darrell, a coach is like a key. People would say, why do we need you? And people have locked doors and they can't get through it. I call them barriers and challenges. They can't get through it. Well, the coach has a key. And little by little, through working with the client, they help and turn that key to unlock people's potential and maximize their own performance. I mean, just in fitness training, my daughter's a fitness trainer, and she said, Mom, sometimes it's the little tiny ways that they have to move that makes that big breakthrough. Now, again, you have to be willing to do the work. I mean, you lost 200 pounds. You had to be willing to do the work. And that's celebrating the tiny wins. Wow, Darrell, it's huge. I used to have, and I still am working on this, my scheduling has been one of my issues because I will jump from one thing to the next because I see the opportunity to help with people's success. So I've been working on laser focusing, and I actually have a young coach right now. She's only 37. So the wisdom that she has is huge. So she has helped me to understand the tiny wins. And she said, Sue, with the scheduling, you literally were able to do this and this and turn off your phone so you can concentrate on this. So I've come up with this statement that I'm doing myself, and it's called do, fail, repeat. Do, fail,
I like it.
repeat. Until you come to a tiny win, and it says do, tiny win, repeat.
Yeah.
So we are so hard on ourselves that when there is failure, or we believe that there's failure, we stop. But if we do, fail, and repeat, there's forward movement and there's action.
Right.
And many times even in weight loss, and you've seen this, you could go forward and lose 20 pounds. Then all of a sudden you're like, I'm doing the same thing and I've just gained 2.
Yeah.
What will happen if
and nobody wants to do 2 steps forward and 3 steps back.
But guess what?
I'd rather do tiny.
But guess what? You remember the do, fail, repeat. So think about this. When a football receiver, someone's got the ball, and then all of a sudden you're watching the football game and you're like, what is he doing? He's running backwards. You know why?
True.
Because he's coming backwards for a moment to have a better view on an opening for him to run forward.
Wow, this is
powerful. Good. So we are so hard on ourselves as human beings when we take a step backward, when that might just be the thing that God's telling us to do for a moment. Not to stay there, but to be able to have forward movement and to be able to have clarity to see forward. Yeah.
Wow. So that gives that whole term for me, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, another meaning in that, hey, I'm not going to look at that negatively. That 3 steps back is going to give me a better view.
Correct.
So I can book it.
That's right. That's right. And, a coach also gives a safe place to be able to gain perspective.
Yes.
You actually just gain perspective in that last moment. And so what a good coach does, and this is a way to find out if it's a person that's a good coach. And I always love to have a discovery process to make sure that there's a right fit, not just for you, the coach, but also for the coach and the coachee. So these are some things to look at. You look at the coach and see, are they really looking at you? Are they really concentrating, or are you just one more client? And then there's the listening. And this one's so huge. Do you know the same letters in the word listen and only in the English language are the same as the word silent?
Wow.
So a good coach is able to have those silent, pregnant moments. The coach should not always be talking. The coach should be listening.
Yeah.
Yes. So the other part.
That was a huge takeaway for me when I took my course, was active listening. How to learn how to listen, and don't just because there's a quiet moment doesn't mean it's time to say anything. Because somebody's processing, and we need to give them that time to do that.
That's correct.
And then what comes out sometimes is absolutely mesmerizing.
We miss it too. I've, as you read in my bio, I've directed and written television shows and music videos. One of the things that I've seen when you're doing a docu-style and you're interviewing someone and you're saying roll the cameras and you've asked them the question and they give the answer. Well, I've learned along the way, when I say cut, my videographers don't cut. That person we're interviewing believes we've cut. Guess where the most awesome meat comes from? When they think the cameras are off. So if I didn't wait for that next moment, I would have missed such vital pieces in those episodes and in those videos. That's where everything just comes off. You know, the one of the most amazing questions to ask as a coach is, what else? Just what else? Now, another part, a good coach should be empathetic. They really did. There are times where, everything just comes out and the burdens fall and the emotions fly. And a coach needs to be empathetic, know when to stop at that moment, know when to acknowledge that what they're saying is vital, and to sit in that moment. And of course, you know, the open-ended questions are huge. And you'll know when you're working with a coach if they're asking questions that are unique to you or ones that they've just learned.
Yeah.
So, and then giving feedback. You know, there's times where I will say, I'm going to take my, if I feel that there's a stuck moment, and we've been at this for a while, and they're so close, and we've worked at that, I will say, do I have permission to take off my coaching hat for a minute and give you a bit of advice? With their permission. A good coach always asks for that permission.
Absolutely.
And then have understanding and intuition that, you know, I walk with my faith. So the Holy Spirit will at sometimes just throw those ideas into me, or he'll say, don't ask that question. They're not ready for that. So a coach that's intuitive is so important. And to keep checking back in with them, you know, did this work for you? Was this something that you want to dig deeper, and asking them those questions? I love coaching.
Very good. Very good. I like what you said about, you know, asking permission to be able to give somebody advice, because that actually brings clarity to what it is that you're doing and the difference between coaching and mentoring.
That is correct.
You know, otherwise the coaches that don't do that, it just gets muddy, right? And then the coachee doesn't know whether you're mentoring or whether you're coaching.
That's right. They don't know whether
you know. I think it's very important.
They don't know
to
whether
do
they
that.
should wait for you to tell them what to do, you know, or you know.
Yeah, because some people, that's what they want.
Yeah.
Really, right? Everybody kind of, even I kind of want that at points in my life where I'm like, hey, I'm looking for an answer. Can you just give me one?
And to that, I would ask a question. Why do you need me to give you the answer? Tell me why.
Yeah.
And then we dig down deeper from there. And many times, this is so funny. Clients will call me the Where's Waldo finder. They say, Sue, I've been back to back with Waldo for so long, and you helped me find them. You helped me find those answers. Again, I don't want to give them a fish for a day. that fish is going to get rotten and smelly, and you can't keep it very long. You got to eat it right then and there. So another thing I find that a lot of people struggle with is conflict management. Not only I work with, corporate events also, so you see that conflict management within a corporation, but conflict management within ourselves. It's almost that they're saying, I should do this, I shouldn't do this. What if I do this, I can't do this? I did this and I failed. Oh, maybe you should do this again. And there's this constant back and forth, yin and yang, going through our minds. So being able to change your mindset is huge. And there are some tools that I use for this. I love having tons of tools in my toolbox. As a matter of fact, I took a class today, and I'm going to be using some art tools, and not the kind that you think. So it's going to be great. Some of my people that I'm working with, it opens up some clarity in our minds that we don't always go to that part. We're always looking for the answer part, but that creative part needs pulled out a little bit more. So one of the tools that I utilize is called replacement therapy. And I know that this can work very, very well with clients who are trying to lose weight, trying to have a healthy body, mind, soul. And replacement therapy is actually a biblical tool. It's a simple tool that when we say we can't, we replace it with how we can. When we say we are overweight, we say we are coming to the place where that weight is going to fall off. Or we're saying there's no way that we can have and build more income. I've been trying for years. We say building income is going to happen. It's just another opportunity away. So replacement therapy, it sounds easy, Darrell, but when we're hearing this over here and this side of our voice is so much louder, we need to first of all get this to stop and then replace it. And the replacement needs to start being louder than this voice was. And along with that comes boundaries, setting boundaries for ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
When we learn to set boundaries, I have another tool called the 30 rule. And matter of fact, let's role play this for a moment. Okay. So ask me a question. Ask me to do something. Think I'm your next door neighbor and ask me to do something.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, sorry, but I'm sick. I don't know if I've got COVID or not, and I can't mow the lawn right now. And I really need somebody to do that. Would you mind doing that for me?
So, Darrell, let me ask you this. Have you called anyone else? Is there anyone in the family, or is there anyone that you've called to help you? And when's the last time it was done?
Yeah, well, I'd ask my kids, but I ask them all the time. And so, I know that every time I talk to them, it's like, oh, and I just don't want to go through that again. And last time it was done, probably 3 weeks ago. So grass is getting a little longer. Yeah, procrastinate a bit. Eek.
You know what, Darrell? I'll help you out. I'll be over. So what this was a 30-second. I was able to listen to what you needed. Did you hear me say yes or no right away?
No.
I took 30 seconds to ask you a question, and I then thought through your answers to see if this is something I could do, should do, and can help you with. So that I just put a boundary on us. I didn't say yes right away. Now the extension of that is 30 minutes. Let's say you said, Sue, I'd like you to make cupcakes for the PTA. And I'd say, you know what? Let me get back to you in 30 minutes. I am really not sure if I can fit that into my schedule, but let me look at that, see what's happening, and I'll get back to you. Is 30 minutes okay? You don't need to know right now, right? 30 minutes, I can give you a call? Okay, great. Yeah. I'll call you in 30 minutes. There's a boundary. You do the same exact thing with 30 hours. making a decision. Someone wants you to go on vacation with them in 2 months, 30 hours to talk to your husband, etc. Look at your calendar. When you do that, it really helps with that conflict management, because instead of you doing all this stuff and then all of a sudden you can't work through working out or food prep or all the other things, you're putting up boundaries now by having a capability of being able to say no or yes and making sure that it fits inside your plan. It's a powerful tool. Yes, one I created literally about 15 years ago because I used to be the yes woman.
Yeah, there are people that just can't say no, but they say yes and then they don't follow through, and then of course it ends up looking bad.
Yes, and then you lose integrity.
They meant well, right? We always mean well.
Well, I always say if you're let your yay be yay and your nay be nay. So if you use this 30-rule boundary, it will help you in your implementable plan to success, because you are literally focusing on the things that you need to do.
Yeah. We're getting close to the end of our session. I have a couple of more questions. One of them is related to, you bring on a new client, a new coachee. This is your first time interacting. And so they're not necessarily going to be open up yet because we don't know each other yet. Mm-hmm. This is new. Do you find that's common in coaching?
Yes, but you know what? Every single person, I believe, has the ability to be coachable. So when a new client comes to me, I have a process, and it is worked throughout the last 2 decades. I do a 15-minute complimentary session. During that session, I ask them to bring to me 3 barriers. And then I listen to their 3 barriers. So in essence, they get a little bit of coaching from me in that first 15 minutes, and I get to hear where their barriers are. That helps me with 3 things. First of all, to know the things that they are struggling with, what we can and cannot work through, for me to be able to see, do they need a counselor? Do they need a consultant, or will a coach help them? The second thing is I'm able to see how they react with me and with the questions that I'm asking them. And then the third thing is I always will leave them with something we've coached with, an aha moment that they can take home with them that night. I want them hungry for more, not because they will hire me. I want them hungry for more so that they realize that breakthrough is just weeks away, or sometimes moments away.
Yeah.
I'll work with a client on, depending on what their barriers are, either a 4-week, an 8-week, or a 12-week. Most of mine are 12 weeks, but if there is a barrier that they need to focus on, I've seen sometimes that 4 weeks will help and have some breakthrough there that they can then utilize and work through on themselves.
Right. And these are, when you're talking 4-week, 12-week programs, my experience is people are coming to you for a specific breakthrough. Whereas I like what you said earlier on, even Oprah Winfrey has a coach, and she's had that coach for over 2 decades. And I know somebody personally that had some breakthroughs to get through, some personal ones that were very hard for this person. And he made it through, but he continues to have that same coach 2-3 years later, because all the value that coach brings him, he says, I can't afford not to have a coach, because life is so dynamic. Every week is so different from the week before. And what happened last year in my life, this year something is totally different. And so there's always a reason for me to have a coach.
It's so true. And a lot of my clients, I've had clients for 3 years, for 5 years, for 10 years. You're correct. There may be, and this is again where a good coach comes from. there are times where I will suggest a bit of a break. You might sit there and say, Sue, that's crazy. You're losing that client, that money. No. I'm gaining the opportunity to show them to take the tools they've already learned from me and to implement them on their own. And then, of course, many times they'll say, all right, I will do that, but can we book our next session after I take my break? And of course I am.
That is cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny because I've kind of experienced the same thing in that I took a break for a little while because there were so much things I was planning and I just really needed to focus. And then I had a couple of my coachees keep bugging me all the time. When's the next time we get together? And I'm like,
that's where this is kind of cool. You bring them into some group coaching. I love to be able to do that at some point. And listen, not everybody can do that. I have learned that along the way. There are some times where Sue, it doesn't work for me. I shut down, and I understand that. Because what I really love about the individual versus the group, the individual does this. You're an objective sounding board that's a safe place. You can have accountability for that, fail, repeat. You can have an accountability for that. And they can really say things that maybe they wouldn't say in a group. Positive reinforcement means a little bit different whenever you're doing the individual. And then revisiting the plan that you've put into place, you can help them to continually help them to fit and change along the way. Now, group coaching is great. I have had many individuals that have had huge success from group coaching who have then taken the group coaching into private coaching. So it can go both ways. Right. I love for my individuals to at least try, that I've been coaching for a while, to try some group coaching so they can get a different experience, but then also listen to some of the other people who are struggling too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I remember one time we were in a group coaching environment, and anyways, I shared a little bit and then other people shared. And I said to myself, oh my goodness, I'm so shallow. Because I didn't realize what was going on in other people's lives and realizing that, wow, there's so many different ways to solve these problems that I never thought of. But this person pointed something out that was amazing. I think I'm going to try that, right? I love it.
Wow, I have so much more to tell you, but that's okay.
My goodness. Yeah. Listen, folks, coaching is an important part of my life, an important part of what I believe should be your life as well. Everyone needs a coach. And I like what you said, Sue. Every good coach has a coach. And it's true. Because we are people. And there are times in our life when a coach isn't enough. We need a professional therapist or somebody to help us in some of those really deep areas that we need help with. And but there's people like Sue and myself and other coaches that are part of this summit that we really do care about you. And no matter where you're at, we can help you at some level. We can point you in a good direction you should go to. Sue, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I appreciate everything that you've said. It's so meaningful. And I really wanted people to understand that there's a difference between coaching and mentoring. And I think you've done a really, really awesome job. Thank you so much. Now, everyone that's attending this summit, Sue has something special for each and every one of you.
Well, as I said,
what is that, Sue?
I love to be able to meet. I've never met a stranger. And I love to be able to meet each and every one of you in a unique way. So I'm doing something I've never done before. I'm offering a 15-minute complimentary session to all of your guests who want to take advantage of it. You might have to do it throughout the year. But if you go to The Inner Vision, and it's with a Z, innervision.com/transformation, you'll be able to sign up there and we can talk.
Wow,
you're welcome.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Sue. And thank you, everyone, for watching, and be blessed. unmute myself. Hey, everyone. Hasn't the summit been wonderful? All these speakers, absolutely amazing. Thank you, Sue, for bringing clarity to what coaching is. And yeah, we actually do care about you. That's why I'm doing this summit. That's why I invited all these amazing speakers, is because if I can connect you with others that can help you in your journey, or if I can help you in your journey, that's what I'm here for. Having said that, I'm going to drop a little link. Let me see here. If you want to talk with me, I'd love to spend a little bit of time with you, find out what your dreams and goal is. What do you want your journey to be? And so you can easily do that by just booking a call with me. I'll just put it down here. Booking a call is you just click on the link, and it will show up in a little calendar, and then you can pick a date and a time that best suits you. And it will automatically set up a Zoom call. Or if you don't do Zoom, I think you can select for me to call you, which is great. Now, little heads up, my wife and I are heading to the Philippines on March the 8th. And so once we get over there, the time zone will be a little bit different. So we'll have to coordinate that. But hey, not a problem. We've been traveling for many years. Matter of fact, we lived in the Philippines for over 9 years full time. And life goes on, right? We still communicate with our families. That's a nice thing about the internet, isn't it? Being able to do FaceTime, Zoom, all these video conferencing solutions. It's been amazing. So even though we can be a half a world away, we're still connected. Anyways, yeah, so please book a call, and I'd be happy to just spend a little bit of time with you, see how we can connect, see how I can help you in your journey. So I just want to tell you a little bit about my journey. This is my session, my time. And it doesn't have to be a very long time, but I've lost 200 pounds. And during the pandemic, I decided to write a book about it. And I was going to release the book not this last Christmas, but actually the Christmas before. But I was advised by a publisher not to release it until I have a large enough following. So I'm kind of waiting for that. But at the same time, it's really allowed me to reevaluate some of the chapters and rewrite some of them and bring a thread in there that I feel will be very impactful. The book is called Help, I Can't Wipe My Ass. The Journeys of a Fat Man. And you can get the chapters, and I'll just drop you a link right here. You can get the free chapters. There's 2 free chapters I'm offering right now, chapter 1 and 2. And just click on that, put in your name and email, and the next page that shows up will give you a direct download. Here we go, showing the screen. A direct download, so you can download the first 2 chapters. Yeah, find out a little bit more about my story. And so really quick, I was big for a very long time, decades. Tried multiple diets, failed, did well, failed, did okay again, failed again. Hasn't that been many of our stories? And I had all these different moments in my life that I should have decided to make this transformation. One of them was a little girl named Christian Joy. And she's my why for our charity. You know, why we help children with clean water in schools and all that. She was 4.5 years old. They couldn't afford medication, so they took her to the hospital. Some American friends of ours did. They gave her medication. She vomited 4 pounds of worms. The next morning, they went to visit her, and she was so small and she was 18 pounds at 4 years old. And they had left, and then she waited for her mother to come by her bed because she could hardly speak. She told her mom, "I'm going to go for a walk in a very far place." And minutes later, she died in her mother's arms. And so Clean Water International, which is the charity that my wife and I founded, she became my why, and she still is to this day. And even 10 years later, that was like 2010, it's now 2022, 12 years later, it hasn't got a whole lot better in terms of children that are dying from contaminated water. But anyways, here I am. I want to get out there and want to help kids. So I'm hiking in the mountains and I'm going to these rural schools. And trust me, it's a challenge when you're, 300 and plenty, plenty, 380, 385, 300, well, anyway. But I was doing it. And, but I found as the years went on, it became more and more of a challenge. But still wasn't enough for me to actually make that mental decision, to want to make this transition, to lose this weight. And then in 2012, which I talk about in the first 2 chapters of my book, my best friend died of a massive heart attack. And I did the eulogy at his funeral. And after, people were coming up to me saying how I had really eulogized him very well. And I noticed in the corner, my kids are standing over there. They're grown. Now, Scott's kids and our kids are same ages, same classroom, same school. He was like a dad to my kids. I'm like that to his kids. And so they were physically and emotionally moved. So I went over to give them a hug. I remember I'm like 387 pounds at that time, whatever it was. And they started crying. They said, "Dad, we don't want you to die too." And it was like getting hit in the face with a 2x4. I never realized that my family felt that way. Because when you're big, at least for me, yeah, I have all of these issues, sitting in seats and booths and, oh my goodness, going on an airplane and watching people give you that evil eye and going, oh no, I hope he's not going to sit by me. But in my head, I didn't realize that I was really that large. And I was pretty healthy for all intents and purposes, other than I was starting to go up in my blood sugar level. I wasn't diabetic yet, but on my way. But that still wasn't enough for me to make the change. And so I'm going to talk about willpower for a minute here. Because everybody says, oh, you need willpower. And I always said, well, where was my willpower when I needed it? Like, right? What's with this willpower thing? Because, hey, I tried all different diets because I really wanted to lose weight, but they just weren't sustainable for me. So going into the mountains was suddenly becoming more and more of a challenge. My best friend dies of a massive heart attack at like 56 years old. And then I think it was 2017-18. We had probably about 8 or 9 people that are fairly close to us suddenly pass away in that period of time. And I happened to be back. My wife were back on furlough in Canada. And one of our friends, he was probably about 10, 11 years older than I was, but he had struggled with his weight. He was, a big guy too. And he struggled with diabetes and different things, and for quite some time. And he was in the hospital. And so I went to visit him. And I was standing at the end of his bed, and I was joking a little bit because he was crying and he was laughing, and he was laying there with just a small, sheet over him because he was just sweating so profusely because of the medications and different things. And he literally enveloped the bed. He was a big guy. And I thought, you know what? He was healthy until he wasn't. And now it's too late. And standing at the end of the bed, I could just visualize myself in there. It could be me. And at that moment, all those moments came to my mind, right? The moment of when Christian Joy had passed away because of unclean water. The moment of when I did the eulogy for my best friend. in other moments, all of a sudden came to me all at once. And then something else came to me. And I actually had a speaker on the summit here. His name's Mel Cario. And I did a values discovery with him. Now, the values I found out that I had were things like travel, adventure, hey, getting out there in the Philippines, going into the schools and rural areas and hiking. Hey, that matches all the things that I love to do. Well, I never really took it that seriously. I thought, oh, well, it's nice to do a values thing, whatever. But standing at the end of the bed, all of a sudden, all those little points in my life of my whys, right? Why do I want to help kids have clean water? Why do I want to be around for my grandchildren? Why do I want to be around for my kids? Those are big whys, but they weren't enough for me to make a change. Standing at the end of the bed, all those whys were coming to me at once, and then all of a sudden the values came to me. And it was like, pow! I had a moment that I can hardly describe. I tell people it's like that's when I discovered my superpower. And you know what? It really didn't have anything to do with willpower, I don't think. Because again, where was my willpower for, 40 years before that? When that culmination of my why and my purpose hit my values, it was like, that's it. No, I don't want to be in that bed. I don't want to wait until I have a major health crisis in my life. Now, that's not to say that, there's people watching this that have health crises. But when do you start? I mean, I said this earlier in the summit. When's a good time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Why? Because you're going to enjoy the shade and everything about that tree today. But if you never planted that tree, when's the next best time to plant that tree? It's right now. Right now. Because over time, you're going to start benefiting from that, right? Don't wait and say, well, I just don't have time and I can't wait that long. Please don't do that. So it was at that moment, standing at the end of his bed, I found my superpower. And I said, you know what? I'm going to plant a tree. I didn't say that at the moment, but I'm telling you that right now. That's when I planted a tree of my transformation. And honestly, I had no idea what to do, where to go next, because I tried all these different diets before, and one of the ones that I was quite successful on was Herbalife. And I still like Herbalife. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm not against really any diets. And I think whatever's working for you, man, good on you. Just keep it up. But please keep an open mind, because when you get older, what worked for you before may not work for you anymore. So example, I lost 80 pounds in 2006 using Herbalife. And that's a funny story because I had amoebiosis and I was throwing up and, diarrhea. And when the lady came up to me and said, sir, you're big. Here's a pamphlet about how to lose weight. I didn't care about losing weight. All I wanted to be was regular. So I took it and I said, will it make me regular? And she said, oh, yes, sir. So I tried it. And within a week, I lost 20 pounds. So I just kept it up and I lost 80 pounds overall. But it wasn't sustainable for us because traveling a lot, trying to get product from, okay, I'm only going to be in this spot for 4 days and this spot for 7 days. And sometimes your schedules change on you. It was really, really difficult. And when you're traveling, weight becomes an issue in airplanes. So anyways, it just wasn't sustainable. But nevertheless, before I had this big revelation where I met my superpower, about a year or two before that, my wife and I decided, okay, let's try this again. So we tried Herbalife again. And I had little to no results. And I was so frustrated. And then someone said to me, Darrell, you're not the same age as you were back in 2006. And then I realized, yeah, you're right. You mean age has something to do with this? Oh, you bet it does. Our bodies change, our metabolisms change. So anyways, so here I am. I decide I'm going to do something. So I didn't know where to start. I wasn't going to do Herbalife or some of the other things again. because they just weren't sustainable for me. That's my story. So I get back to the Philippines and I met with some Rotarians, and I noticed that some of them had lost some weight. And I asked them, I said, oh, congratulations, you're looking awesome. So what did you do? And they said, oh, we're doing IF. I'm like, IF? What's IF? Oh, intermittent fasting. And I went, well, I've never heard of that before. So anyway, they proceeded to tell me about, how you can fast. You kind of want to fast 16 hours a day, and then you have an eating window of the rest of that day, right? And it kind of made sense to me. And so there was a fellow in Cebu that everybody was following. So my wife and I went to Cebu and we met with him. And, he's a Filipino that's not very tall, but he was a big guy. And he'd lost his weight, gone down to his goal weight. He reversed diabetes. He reversed hypertension, high blood. I mean, my goodness, his story was like super inspiring. Now, I didn't have any major health issues other than the potential of diabetes, but it made sense to me because, way back, years and years and hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago, we didn't have fast food. And so I think it was kind of normal for people to fast. So it made sense to me. So I tried it. I got on it. My goal was 16 hours. Some days I did 20 hours. Now, when you fast, during your fasting period, you can have coffee and tea, but no sugar, no cream. You can have water, of course, because it actually, I won't get into it all, but it puts your body into ketosis, which is fat burning stage. And anyways, I lost 60 pounds. Now, during that process, I got a phone call from the BC Bariatric Clinic. Now, backstory, I was supposed to get weight loss surgery back in 2003, but when the government changed the AXA programs, it never happened. So I was not hopeful that would ever happen again. My idea was like, with my luck, the lily pad will sink. I had no hopes in it. But I get this phone call and they said, hey, we'd like you to come in for an orientation. So my wife and I went in. Now, I had already started intermittent fasting sometime before that. I started tracking my food in my Fitness Pal, which is on my phone. I had stopped drinking any soda pop. And I was hooked on diet pop. I mean, my goodness. 2 liters plus a day would be easy. I had stopped all of that. Minimalize my sugar, because remember, when I'm standing at the end of the bed and all of a sudden all my whys and my purpose hit my values and I hit my superpower, it was like, no, this is changing. For me, it was a mindset thing. It happened. The mindset happened. It became my reality. So I was, man, this is it. So I was committed, lost 60 pounds. Now we're sitting at this orientation at the bariatric clinic. There's probably 24 people in there, of which I was by far not the largest. I kind of felt medium small, but they started telling you about, okay, all the expectations. You have to stop drinking alcohol, not a problem for me. You have to stop smoking, not a problem, don't do those. You have to stop drinking soda pop. Well, after they mentioned those 3 things, there were people that actually got up and left because they were not willing to give up those vices in their life. I'm like, so sad for them. Obviously, they just were looking for the outcome, which was they wanted to be lighter, but they weren't willing to do the work for it. Because bariatric surgery is not the silver bullet. I'll tell you that right now. And it's not for everyone. Matter of fact, in the BC bariatric program, they say around 600 people get admitted into the program, like starting with orientation, but less than 200 people actually go through or actually are accepted. It's not a matter whether you just pick it and know you're in. No. You have to qualify, and it is hard work. But anyways, so at the end of that orientation, they sit me down with a nurse, and she says, okay, have you had any weight loss? I'm like, yeah, I've lost 60 pounds. She was like, oh, because that's a requirement, is you have to be already committed to lose some weight. I already done that. we need you to start tracking your food. I said, oh, okay, here's almost a year worth of tracking my food. All these different things that I had no idea were requirements, I'd already been doing. Remember, that mindset change had already happened for me. I was on this journey regardless to whether I would get surgery. Long story short, I got surgery on, I think it was August the 13th, 2019. I flew through the course because of my commitment level and everything that I was doing. Someone said I was like an all-star in the program. It really had nothing to do with willpower in my books, because I don't think I ever had willpower. It was when my superpower arrived. And maybe that is willpower. I don't know. But nevertheless, I would never go back and say, would I change anything? No, I just wish I'd have done this, 20 years ago instead of 3 years ago. But anyway, so here I am, intermittent fasting, going into the program. They assign to you a nutritionalist, okay? And so she says, okay, what have you been doing? Blah, 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 blah. And I say intermittent fasting. She says, oh, okay. She didn't appear to be negative on it. But then she said, okay, now in order for you to get into the program, I want you to stop intermittent fasting, and I want you to eat from all the 7 food groups, which I was doing with intermittent fasting, okay? I was not depriving myself of anything, which was awesome, because all the other diets I ever tried before was, deprivation and then all that mental stuff going on. But anyway, so she said, no, I want you to stop that, and I want you to eat breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. She says, yeah, it is. She said, now the reason why I want you to do that is because when you have to get used to doing this, because once you get bariatric surgery, your stomach's going to be like 4 ounces. So you cannot put enough food in there to sustain you for that many hours. So you've got to eat in increments to maintain your just your energy. Okay, that made sense to me. Okay, so then she introduced to my wife and I portion control, and that's really what bariatric surgery forces you to do, is portion control, because you literally cannot eat more than set amount. Now, over the years, your stomach will expand because it is a muscle, and everybody probably has heard of someone or knows of someone that's had bariatric surgery that gained a significant amount of their weight back, if not all of it. So again, it's not the silver bullet. It's not like, oh, you got it, life is going to be great for the rest of your life. Absolutely not. It's just a tool to get you where you need to get very quickly. And folks, there are some people that need to get there really quickly, because if they don't do it, their life might end, right? And I like what April said. She was on the program. She said, why is it that we celebrate people that get a knee replacement and hip replacement, and all these things that make our life better, but when it comes to bariatric surgery, everybody gives you the evil eye, like, ooh, you couldn't do it on your own, blah, blah, blah. Folks, there are people that can't do it on their own. And when you talk to a weight loss surgeon and people in that industry, they will tell you that obesity, morbid obesity, is a disease. Maybe it is. I don't know yet. But I tell you one thing, again, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. So anyway, so I start learning about how to read, well, there's no label on here, but everything you buy's got a label. The value of food, how much sugar is in it, how much protein's in it, how much salt's in it. I mean, everything. What an eye-opener. And then the nutritionalist says, okay, what foods do you like? I go, oh, okay, I like this exercise. So I start giving her a list. She goes through it all. She says, okay, this is good, this is good. Maybe not the sausage that you get from Costco, because, or anywhere for that matter, because it's so full of nitrates and all these other different things that it's super high in fat and blah, blah, blah. She says, I kind of don't want you to eat that. Not a problem. I'll just substitute it with a different kind of meat that is more of a healthier choice, put it that way. So it was a real learning curve. So we really learned the value of food and the value of portions. So here we are. I hadn't even got surgery yet. I go on a liver shrinking diet for 3 weeks. They do my blood test before. They say, I don't want you to eat this particular diet. We don't want you to eat things like garlic, tamarind, different things. And my wife clued in. She says, oh, those are the things that thin your blood. And the nutritionist goes, yeah, you're right. Because before surgery, we want to make sure that your blood viscosity is not too thin. So anyways, at the end of that 3 weeks, they test my blood. Difference night and day, just from what I was eating. I would have never believed that before. Danny Williamson, who was also a speaker in here, she says, you know what? Your health is at the end of your fork. Either food will heal you or it will kill you. It is so, so true. But here I am, pre-surgery. My stomach is still this big. And I'm doing like 4 ounces of salmon, 1/3 cup of brown rice, 5 baby carrots, and literally fitting on a teacup, right? But I was doing it. And I was fine because, as you eat during the day, you learn about certain values of food so that, like example, in the morning snack, we'd have 10 almonds. Well, 10 almonds will stay away the hunger pangs. So once you learn different things, it's like during that period of time, I wasn't hungry like I used to be, and I was eating small portions. It was working. Now, could I have continued that and not had surgery? Probably. Actually, I believe I would have. But I was already in the program, already committed to it, and so I followed through. But I learned that you don't really need a diet. You don't. I learned that before the surgery when I was doing intermittent fasting. I was eating from the 7 food groups. I did learn after a while because, when anything you do, you're going to ebb. You're going to hit that plateau, and then you got to do something to get yourself out of it. I mean, that's life. That's life for me now, almost 3 years post-op. But you can do it. Hey, if I can do it, I know anyone can do it. And let's face it, when you eat from the 7 food groups, you're going to eat healthy. It's going to be good for you, as opposed to deprivation and all these other things. But anyway, so do you need another diet? Absolutely not. You can do it with portion control, learning the value of food. You can do it. You can do it. I know you can. Willpower. Hey, in my story, I never had willpower. Didn't even really know what it was. But when my why, my purpose met my values, it was like pow. My mind turned on, and it was like mindset change was like immediate. And that's what I'm hoping for you, that you can. And the reason why I did the summit, because a lot of the speakers on here talked about things like purpose and intention, prepared for a purpose. If you don't know what your why is, hey, there's people out there and there's coaches out there like myself and people that have been speaking at this conference that are here for you, right? So maybe I know we can help you in your journey. Anyway, so do you need another diet? No, you don't. You can eat real food and still lose weight and get healthy. Willpower, if you compare your why and your purpose with your values, watch that superpower make a difference in your life. And the third thing is I can do it on my own. That was my mindset for most of my life. Now, why? Here's the thing. When you're a serial dieter, you end up, after a while, not telling anybody about, oh, this new thing I'm doing, this new fad, this new diet. Why? Because you don't want to go through the guilt and the shame of just another failure. It doesn't feel good. And so there's a statistic out there that say 2% succeed and 98% fail. And when you research and you Google the failure of diets on Google, 90+% of people that do diets fail. It's common. And there's a lot of reasons why, right? Again, trying to do it on your own, not having a support system is huge, absolutely huge. Because as soon as you're all by yourself and those negative thoughts come, which they will, absolutely, right? You get on the scale tomorrow and you're up a half a pound when you thought you should have actually been down a half a pound. Hey, your mind starts playing with you. You get depressed, feel down. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to have a Timbit or another donut. Then I start with one and go, I might as well just eat the whole box. There's so much that's going on in our mind, right? And then we've got chemicals in our bodies, that are just like a cesspool of chemicals that are just whacking us out. And we have a speaker, Samantha Taylor. She's the first speaker of the summit that talks about how she was so addicted to food that she would get to a point where she couldn't say no. And so she talks about the little things that she learned and how they can help you. So, if you don't have the All Access Pass, you want to get it. It's only $39 and you get lifetime access. You can watch them all. There's so many nuggets of gold from these speakers at this summit that you'll want to watch over and over. I was just talking yesterday with one of the attendees, and she said, oh my goodness, my head's about to explode. I'm going to have to watch them over 2 or 3 times just to get everything. Honestly, I recorded these sessions and even during the summit, rewatching them for my 3rd and 4th time, I'm getting stuff out of it that I didn't even catch the 1st and 2nd time. Anyway, so yeah, think about that. It's only $39, All Access Pass. I'll just pop that in here real quick. All Access Pass. There you go. You just click on that link and you're there. But yeah, the summit, I really wanted to encourage people, inspire people, and let them understand that there's a whole group of people out there, and myself, that are willing to be on this journey with you, to provide the support that you need. So when you're not feeling so great and you're having a bad day, you can just give us a text or a messenger or whatever, and we'll encourage you. And then as a coach, if I'm meeting with you on a weekly basis or however that's going to work between us, I'll be asking you those difficult questions and helping you solve some of the problems that you're working and dealing with, so that your journey is going to be nothing but a bright light at the end of the tunnel. But support is absolutely huge. Again, 2% succeed, 98% fail. So those are the 3 things that I really wanted to share with you. They were things that were holding me back from my success in my journey. I'm coming on 3 years post-op. About 18 months after weight loss surgery, typically 12 to 18 months, everyone who gets that, their metabolism will literally restart. A lot of people don't know this. And when that happens, whatever weight you're at, that's where you're probably going to stay at. And typically, the average person that goes through weight loss surgery will gain around 10% of the weight back that they lost. So, example, if you lost 200 pounds, which I did, you're gonna gain maybe 10% of it back, which is true, because right now I hover between 208, 2010, and 210 was actually my goal weight. So I was happy when I got down to 200. But trust me, when my metabolism restarted, and when anybody that gets weight loss surgery, when their metabolism restarts, we are back to ground zero. We are back to experiencing the roller coaster of weight loss, just like all of us. It is not the silver bullet. It's hard work. It gets you there quicker, but the mindset and the journey continues. So, hey, once again, I thank you so much for being a part of this summit. Reach out to me, book a call. I'll put that in here again. I'd love to find out what is your journey? What are your hopes and dreams? Just click on that link. It's free. And I'll spend 15 to 30 minutes with you, and we'll just talk. We'll find out what your journey is and see whether or not, we can help you in any way. So thank you so much again for being part of the summit. And I've got great plans for the future, for hopefully upcoming summits, and for starting a video podcast series. And hey, my wife and I are headed March 8th to the Philippines to do some of our charity work, which is to help children in schools with clean water. And we're so excited about that. And yeah, anyways, follow us on Facebook, and we'll see you next time.